Chinese tech cubs promote OpenClaw AI agent despite security warnings. If OpenClaw enables one-person companies in China, doesn't that collapse this labor advantage, like this arbitrage that they have had? Does this make importing ideas for China easier now? Zero human, I think is what it's called, zero human company. It's sort of obviously going to be a thing. It's just a question of how big it's going to be. Reuters has a new article out there. Chinese tech cubs promote OpenClaw AI agent despite security warnings. So what's happening is China is saying, hey, like, we recognize the power of OpenClaw-like ideas of an autonomous agent that can use computers, that can go out there and do things in the world. And instead of sort of being afraid of it, they're saying, let's promote it. Let's set up events and have people who are interested in this come here and share what they have built. And this has led to talks of the one-person company and sort of promoting that in China. And so, you know, we see this happening in China. I think we're seeing it around the world too, from a grassroots perspective. But literally, like, the government is saying, hey, we recognize this as something that has tremendous value. Why don't we help it move along? And by the way, this is something China has been doing for a long time. They have been helping move along, developing real estate, building trains and airports and interstates. They've been doing this for science. So funding science, funding the purchase of large compute buys, helping, sort of willing billion-dollar and trillion-dollar companies into existence just because they believe in certain technologies. And this seems like one that they're really jumping on. Now, it remains to be seen 3 months from now, 6 months from now, are they still behind this idea? But at least in the beginning here, the wave is here and China's saying, yep, we're in and we're going to sponsor it, for now. So this brings up a few questions. If OpenClaw enables one-person companies in China, doesn't that collapse this labor advantage, like this arbitrage that they have had for Chinese outsourcing? So Chinese, a lot of the Western world outsourced to China. There was an arbitrage there, and lots of goods are made in the world, by China, and this has has developed a lot of profit for China, and this has helped them grow as a country. Don't technologies like this threaten that? And what I would say here is China's thinking one step ahead. Yeah, it definitely does threaten it. But wouldn't it be better if they're the ones who owned it? So this is the idea of like disrupting yourself. So somebody else out in the world could disrupt you, and then now you're like, woe is me, I don't have a way to compete, basically. But if you say, no, there's going to be a disruption to my market, sure, but I'm going to be the one to disrupt myself. So I'm going to own the means of production there. I'm going to be the one who figures this out before anybody else. And then now I become the de facto, standard, the default that everybody leans toward. And so right now, if you think about manufacturing, China is that de facto standard. If you say, I'm going to manufacture something, then instantly people think like, oh, so you're going to go to China and do that, right? Well, maybe they're saying, hey, the next financial revolution that's going to happen here, we want it to be on home turf. Again, we don't want it to be this we don't want it to only be manufacturing. We think manufacturing will be commoditized in a certain way too, with robots and that type of thing, and they're investing in that too. And so they're like, what's the next thing, and how do we lead in that? So I think this is big brain, not smooth brain here. They're thinking out ahead. Does this make importing ideas for China easier now? So there's a problem out there where if you look at manufactured goods, like hardware goods, and you read the instructions for how to put it together or something, you look at it and you say like, oh, I know this was made in China. The translation isn't exactly right. Doesn't exactly explain it the way that I would think I would need it to be explained. Are all of those manuals going to be way better now? Absolutely, but that's like the smallest little thing that's going to change. There's another question here, like, what about all the software that we use in the world? Could they use AI in order to learn from the software that has been built in the West, make a version in China that is better, faster, cheaper, and then that's where we get all of our software? Absolutely, they could, and this is probably what they're thinking. They really know how to do that well. And so when they're looking at AI, they're looking at it from that tooling perspective, that they're thinking like, wow, this is a big economic lever for us. And so if people need software out there in the world, why don't we make it? Now don't get me wrong, they start with their population first. So they go and build everything for their population. But if they're out ahead and doing really well, then they're going to look for a new market, because every market, as soon as it starts to plateau and hit its growth ceiling, if they're doing so well in China, they're going to look out to the rest of the world and say, now we want to sell to the rest of the world. So right now, for software, that hasn't been their way of operating, but with the AI intelligence revolution, it probably is, because they're going to be thinking, hey, the labor market, that's going more to Vietnam, it's going to other places, et cetera. We need our next big thing. And we don't have to hypothesize too much about that. They're investing in it. DeepSeek, Quen, all of this, like this is supported by the government in China. So we don't have to think like, I wonder if they're going to wise up to this. They have already wised up to this. They did 2 years ago. Okay. So you're just seeing the effects of it now. Hey, are you a plumber, electrician, office manager, whatever? Maybe you're a painter. There's all sorts of crazy jobs in the world. I would love to hear what you hate doing. What is it? What do you hate doing, and what would you not mind if AI took over for you? Just leave it in the comments. What's happening in China here is the discussion around one-person companies. But hey, why don't we take this to the logical limit? There's no human companies, right? It's just the general idea, and nobody's really working on it. It's just agents in the background that are going to town. And there is I've seen this around. There is like a no human or zero human, I think is what it's called, zero human company out there that's promoting this idea. I think it's sort of obviously going to be a thing. It's just a question of how big it's going to be. I would really love to hear people's thoughts on how they're thinking about that. But how I look at this, I'm like, hey, there's so many things in the world that I wish were built, and we kind of vote with our dollars after the fact now. So after something is already built, then we go out and buy it now, or we pay our monthly subscription or whatever it is. And that's how we sort of weight importance of that product. And what if you could do that ahead of time? What if you could say, I really wish this thing existed in the world. This is like Kickstarter for AI, basically, where you say, I'm going to put money into this thing. And then as that thing is able to produce something valuable, then maybe now you benefit, So go back to the ideas. I know these are dirty words, but tokenization or NFTs or that type of thing. What if they were real? What if it was, I had an idea that a type of software should do this type of thing. So I'm going to go to the zero human company, and I'm going to invest my dollars. I'm going to put $100 toward that thing or $1,000 toward that thing. And if it isn't successful, boom, your $100 is gone. But if it is successful, maybe that $100 turns into $300, turns into $5,000, because this becomes like something that's extremely valuable to people in the world. And so, it's a really interesting idea, and interesting to think about how this is all going to play out. I think it's not a question of if, it's a question of like when and how big. I would love to hear what you have to say about it. If you want to learn more and keep up to date with this quickly advancing world of AI, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. There's new episodes every week.